Hello, so Musketeer video regarding this thing. Why did I choose Falconer and Appraiser, okay? So to make it simple, right? If you trust me, then you can just take the build that I'm using now, because I can confidently say that this is the best build up to date for Musketeer in PvE. Even, sorry, not even. Like Archer 1, Ranger 2, Sapper 2, Falconer 2, Appraiser, Musketeer 3. Sorry, it's Appraiser, then Falconer, then Musketeer 3. So why is it the best, okay, compared to other options, which is Wugushi and Sapper 3, or like even Rogue 2? To put it simply, right, Swift's Archer 2 even, why do people, like a lot of people say that, you know, Archer 2 is better because you get 150 crit rate, right, which is a lot just for one rank. That's true, but honestly, you only need it, right, when you are doing solo content, or like content that maybe like if your party needs crit rate in general. Like, to be honest, right, think about it this way: if you party with a group of magic users, right, which is like 3 or 4 other members, or maybe even 2 members that like use magic based skills, they won't benefit anything from Swift Step's crit rate. Like, it doesn't give them anything at all. So Swift Step is a very like one directional build, you know. Like, it's better if you get a personal support or a friend that is willing to support you with Swift Step, and have him play Archer 2 instead of like you going Archer 2. Because Musketeer is meant to be a DPS, you wanna dish out as much damage as possible. And doing that, you need to sacrifice like lower tier classes like these to, even for like, you can honestly throw Sapper 1 out if you want, or even Falconer 1 if you really want the 150 crit rate, but honestly it's not necessary, especially when now you have so many ways to get items. Archer 2 is only good if you are starting out as a new player. Okay, like as a new player you want that crit rate, and yeah, it's fine, like it works anywhere. But once you get to mid or end game, it's not necessary anymore. So for the build, right, very simple: Swift Step, Oblique Shot. Then Ranger, you take High Anchoring, Critical Shot, and Steady Aim. You use High Anchoring maybe in contents with like a lot of mobs, right? You just High Anchoring twice. It's a very fast skill, like just like this. Just like that, and it pushes back a lot of mobs. Barrage is not necessary, honestly. High Anchoring does a better job at doing that. Steady Aim, Crit Shot, I don't think I need to explain this, but Crit Shot gives you 50% additional crit damage. Not this crit attack, but your entire damage multiplied in total, meaning to say that if you hit 400k white lines, which is your basic attack, no crits, you will crit for 600k instead because of this 50% gain. So, sorry, you will crit for 800k because the normal crit multiplier is 1.5, so additional 50% is 2.0. Basically, you do double damage in your crits now. And who wouldn't want that? Come on. It lasts 15 seconds and is very easy to maintain. Sapper 2, you know, I have questions about Claymore and Punji Stake. These two are not really very useful from experience from using these two. These two are like just honestly, you can put 1 point in Punji Stake if you do solo content, or like if, okay, solo content maybe like Dark Descent. Wait, what the what's that? What's the fucking place called? Wait, I forgot the name. Okay, like first one is challenge mode, right? Maybe if you're doing solo challenge mode and then there's a lot of mobs crowding around, you can use Punji Stake. You plant it on the spot where you are, so when the mobs come to you when you're getting overcrowded, right, this thing will, like, you know, knock the mobs back. They'll like fly into the fucking sky or some shit. And then what it does is that it creates room and space for you, because Musketeer, where you're charging Serenity, right, you won't be able to move much. Your mobility is limited. What's this raid called again? this dimension. Oh yeah, Remnants of Venice. This is also another good place you can use a Punji stick if you want to, like to create space for you if mobs were to overcrowd you. And another reason why it can be good is because Musketeer's Sniper Serenity, right? It lasts 30 seconds. But the issue is that if you get hit by a monster, it reduces the duration by 1 second. So if 20 mobs were to hit you, which is very possible, or rather, even if as long as it's damage, right, and it ticks off you, it removes 1 second. So if you receive 20 ticks of damage, even if it's like very low damage, right, your Serenity can get cancelled to like 10 seconds, and you won't even realize it, and most of the time. It's just from experience that I realized I fucked up a lot when I was playing. So Sapper, you can take 1 point in this. I personally don't, because I don't really need it. I just kill everything I see. Claymore is a long wind up skill, not really necessary. It's it takes too long to use. Even on flying mobs, right, with the attributes like increased damage or whatsoever, the damage isn't really justifiable. It doesn't actually cap. It's quite weak actually, Claymore. Conceal, you won't really need this in PvE. You're not gonna hide the fucking traps on the mobs. Detonate is the best because you can do like tons of damage with this fucking shit. Basically what you do is that you plant 2 stick stockades like that, right? And then you detonate. It will do like 4 lines or 3 or 2 lines of damage. And each line on a flying mob, right, if you have Serenity and maybe Glassmo, or you don't even need Glassmo, right, it will basically kill the mob instantly. Like, each line will do about 999, sometimes cap damage, sometimes you don't, but Detonate hits for a lot of DPS. Even at Sapper 1, right, if this is level 5, it does a lot of damage. Low SP count, fast cooldowns, 20 seconds, don't need to explain further. Room Trap, this is just overtime damage, and it's rather similar to Wugushi, which is why I don't really like it that much. It's only better because it does critical damage. That's about it. The only good thing about it is that it can crit, that's all. Other than that, it's a very niche, or like, I don't know, normal skill. You can just plant it in advance if you want to, and it only hits land mobs, it doesn't hit flying. Collar Bomb, this is very hard to use, so I won't suggest that you use it, even though it can be used with a Musketeer. Like, you most of the time, right, you won't even be able to use this skill much, because Musketeer's cooldowns is fast, and their skill animation is fairly fast also. Like, you can see how everything is like almost instantaneous. And then stick stockades, this you just plant it once in a while if you really don't have any cooldowns, or if you want to use detonate traps. The thing about detonate traps is that you can detonate magic circles as well, so it's, you know, it's good. It's very easy to use sometimes. Like, you know, if you see your warlock put down magic, not warlock, what the fuck is that? Oh yeah, elementalist. If you see them like cast like any magic circles, or any other person cast magic circles, even heal tiles, okay? You know how clerics like to spam heal tiles, right? This thing will like detonate only 4 heal tiles, and you can basically wipe out the whole wave of mobs with just that one skill. For Circle 4 class, that is pretty good. Then Circle 5, or Rank 5, whatever, I take Appraiser. I don't go Rogue because Rogue is Rogue 1 and 2, Rogue 2 even, okay? Rogue 2 gives 50% crit rate, minimum crit chance. It's good if you can hit the mobs from the back all the time. Even with werewolf cards, right, it's not really good, or it's not ideal, because if you go werewolf cards, right, you risk sacrificing this Gazing Golem. In team play, you don't really need Gazing Golem, but when you play solo, or sometimes if you go in a team without a linker runecaster, then Gazing Golem is like your best friend. Because let's say like your runecaster messes up or something, right, and then he doesn't get the rune of protection off, and then you're fucked. Basically any skill you use, right, can get cancelled, and when it gets cancelled, your cooldown doesn't refund, you know, like it goes on cooldown, so you lose a lot of damage just because you get knocked back or staggered a little bit. So Gazing Golem's definitely the best choice for Musketeer. Don't go for werewolves. I sold mine away for like what, 3M? Fuck those. devaluation. Devaluation 15% on normal mobs. You don't really use this much on normal mobs, mainly only for bossing or if you do PvP, but this is a PvE build, so yeah. For PvE, devaluation on a boss is like 7.5% or 7% because it's cut in half. But when you use Divine Might, right, it goes up to 18%, as you can see below, level 6. So instead, right, you get 9% defense reduction for both, you know, magic and physical. So it's a very good debuff overall. And Blind Sight. Okay, Blind Sight is a guaranteed critical hit. So Musketeer is a class, right, that benefits a lot from crit damage and a lot of crit damage multipliers. So you can, you know, one shot you can tell why this skill is so good, really. It has fairly high skill factor ratio. It increases your minimum crit chance by 30%. It's not written here, but it's 30%. And it increases your crit attack, which is this one, by 25%. If you use Divine Might on this, right, I think Blind Sight, the debuff, I don't know if it's really affected or not, but I don't think it is actually. But yeah, only the duration will increase if I'm not wrong. But that's about it for, you know, Blind Sight. Like an example, right? 25% of 2.2k. Crit attack is also very, you know, like it's not a great stat in Tree of Savior. Strength is still overall the better choice, even for like other classes that's not Musketeer, because the way damage is calculated in this game, right, it favors strength, physical attack basically, over crit attack. So Dex doesn't really go very well. Like, okay, now you see like maybe it's 2.2k, 25% of that's very little, right? Because 301 Dex now, okay? But now see, I'm gonna show, this was when I did Falconer, right? Okay, it's 1.4k now, but watch, right, as it increases up to I think 5.6, 5.5k, yep, here. Okay, how do I get this increase? It's not from Blind Sight, this is without Blind Sight. Basically what my team did was that Team Rocket, right, this guy, our Falconer, he runs full Dex, I run full Strength, and one guy runs full Con. So whenever we have Lifeline up, which is 100% uptime, our stats get boosted to the max. So what happens is that this 5.5k, right, now you get 25% increase of this 5.5k crit attack, which is, you know, huge. That's why you can, you know, fucking hit values like these. Let's look at that. And there was like questions that people say that, you know, this was a bug. Fuck you, it's not a bug. There's no bug because I'm already dealing cap damage. You can't go higher than cap, like, you know, use your brain a bit. So that pretty much covers Appraiser, okay? Now Falconer. Call is basic, you just need it to recall your hawk back for a bit. And like, you know, basically when you use a skill like this, okay? Phaesant, you see how the hawk hits and then he's gonna run away like some autistic fuck. Look at it, like, where the fuck did it go, right? So what you do is that you use the call feature to call it back like that. If not, it won't cast a skill if it's like basically, you know, like when it runs off like that, right? When you try to cast a skill, it doesn't move. There's another way to recall the hawk, which is with Roost, but having call at level 1 is good also because Roost can be destroyed. So if your Roost gets destroyed or anything, right, or if you get staggered or knocked back, your Roost won't register, so you lose the chance of probably like killing 15 mobs or doing good amount of DPS with Phaesant just because you rely on Roost. So call is a more, you know, consistent way of getting the hawk back. Roost, you get 50% skill factor damage increase, which is good overall. You want to use this when you pair it with Phaesant. The good thing, right, is that you can actually do this. You don't have to roost and then Phaesant. As long as like the roost comes out before the hawk lands on the floor, then the damage will be increased. So you can plan around a bit with your Musketeer rotation when you do that. Circling is very basic. You max it because Musketeer lacks AoE attack ratio, and like, you know, the more duration you have, the better. 20 seconds uptime, 15 seconds downtime. So overall very good skill. And you can see that the attribute is also fairly helpful. It decreases chance of nullifying the attack by 5% per attribute. What this means is that if you fight elite mobs, especially in Remnants of Bernice, right? Those mobs, some of them are very, you know, jibai one lah, like very fucker one. They got this skill that like missile hole basically sucks attacks. So what this does, right, is that it has a chance, like 20% chance, as you can see, to negate the whole missile hole. And it makes a lot of difference, honestly, between ranking like maybe stage 40 and stage 42 on Bernice if you are, you know, competitive. Hovering, hanging shot, sonic strike. Why I don't take any of these skills? Because currently with my current musket rotation, right, I don't need any more skills. But if I had a choice, I would go max hovering and lower a bit of circling if I really had time to, you know, use more skills. But bear in mind, hovering is it's a skill that can lag sometimes, and it's pretty clunky to use sometimes. So, you know, just Tree of Savior things. IMC, please fix your fucking bugs. Phaesant, this skill probably your bread and butter for the whole fucking Falconer shit. Falconer 2, a lot of people say that Falconer 2 is bad, which is fairly true. Falconer 3 is a lot better, but as a musketeer, right, your only options are Wugushi, Sapper, Rogue, Hunter, Falconer. You don't really have any other options. So Falconer, why is it better? You see, we go for Sapper and stuff like that, right, because Musketeer lacks in AoE. So if it's AoE that you are lacking, right, why not take Falconer 2? That's my question to you, basically. Unless you show me that a Wugushi tree or a Sapper tree can outdo a Falconer 2, then by all means show me. It won't happen. Phaesant, 2k skill factor ratio at level 81. You have a chance to stun the mobs as well, which gives you space to use your skills, gives you space to move back a bit, reposition whatsoever, rapid attack. But most of the time, when Phaesant lands, right, it will likely one-shot or even like kill the mob straight away. So that's why Phaesant is, you know, good. And the fact that if one line crits, every line crits. I can demonstrate this later in a dungeon. But okay, that's about it basically for Falconer. Phaesant, yeah. Musketeer, okay. Falconer, sorry, for the fuck, covering fire, penetration shot. These two need to be maxed because they are your highest form of damage. Penetration shot, it hits 10 times. You can see one of the attributes, wow shot, to inflict 2 hits. So basically it's 1713 skill factor ratio times 10 instead of 5. And it registers as 2 hits. So what do I mean by 2 hits, right? It's like basically if you were to, you know, object destruction in Tree of Savior, whereby you break objects, each auto attack is like 1-1-1, right? Same thing for skills, it will hit 1-1-1. So this thing is 5 hits. But when you use crouches, right, you want to stack it up as fast as possible. And the thing is, penetration shot already caps damage. So it's the best way to instantly get crouches at 10 stacks. Imagine this, just pressing one time, 0.5 seconds and your crouches is max, and you can basically, you know, use your every other skill array. Other classes take some time to stack crouches, while, you know, Musketeer, you get it in like 0.5 seconds, so you have 19 seconds left of crouches instead of like just, you know, maybe sometimes in worst cases 15, 16, and you have no downtime in damage. That's why penetration shot is so good. Is that it registers, each hit is like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So 2 times, you know, 5 is basically 10. That's how you stack it up to the max. Covering fire, just on paper alone you can see that it does the highest skill factor ratio. Is 2 overhit, 623% times 11. Use it off cooldown whenever you can, fast. It's like, how do you do the musket rotation, right? It's very simple. For long boss fights, you want to utilize every single skill. For long boss fights, I'm talking about world boss, which is like 20-30 minutes, you want to try and use everything. But if it's for short boss fights, like maybe Valcoffer, I know Valcoffer can be long for certain players, so you adapt around that you know. If you kill Valkoffer in 2 minutes, like me, you just have to use covering fire, banner shot, snipe one time. See, it's just enough. The glass mode duration, right, is just enough for you to use one of these and one of these, banner shot and covering fire. So usually you have two SP pots. You want to try and burn these two skills on cooldown and off cooldown as fast as possible. So okay, headshot. Usually what you do is just headshot, instant snipe, like that. It's fast, right? Why headshot into snipe? Because snipe does more damage, right, when you attack a bleeding enemy, and headshot causes bleed effect. So you can see why these two stack really well. Volley fire, okay, this one is more to preference, but I feel volley fire is better, of course, because Musketeer already has enough damage on its own, and especially when snipe and headshot can cap by itself, right? So you take the remaining points and you put it into a weaker skill factor ratio skill, which is volley, and it's better because it's more towards AoE, and Musketeer is lacking in the AoE department. So you put 5 points here. Reason explained. Bird fall, this is just a filler. No reason not to have it at level 1. Putting it in any other, you know, skill would probably not really benefit you much as well. This one is, you know, just a filler. The only time you will probably use it in PvP, which is to knock down Featherfoots, but apart from that, PvE only use it as a last resort. Basically, when you really have no other skill to press on the Musketeer tree, right, when you're doing long boss fights, then you use this. Snipe, just explain, cap damage, use it after headshot if possible, or if you reach a point whereby you can do cap damage, just snipe straight away. Sniper Serenity, okay, skill very basic. Full charge time 2 seconds, duration 30 seconds, critical damage increased by 50%. It is the same as Ranger's crit shot damage increase. So the reason why Musketeer is so good, right, with Ranger is that Ranger increases 50%, Sniper Serenity increases another 50%. That's basically 100%. And what is 100% increase in damage? It's times 2 your damage. So if you're dealing 400k before, right, when you crit, you will do 800k. And if you have, and because of the base crit factor, which is times 1.5, right, which is 50%, the base crit amount now, your crits will be 2.5 instead. So 2.5 of 400k is 1 million damage. So because of those two buffs, right, you basically gain 400k damage increase. Each 50% is 200k. That's how good this thing is. And what the fuck? Okay. Equals maximum attack power and fully charged. Yeah, that's about it. Oh wait, sorry. An important thing about Musketeer: never ever charge half or, you know, just a bit. You only do that in PvP because you want to get the block attribute in very niche scenarios or something like, or very like hard scenarios to get out from. The way you should use Sniper Serenity is always charge it to the max. I'll explain why here, okay? See, when I charge it to the max, right, damage is capped and the 50% critical damage is applied. However, right, when you don't charge it to the max, when you charge it like this, for example, 6319, 6507, you might think, oh, this is not a big difference, nothing much. The issue is that this critical damage only applies when you fully charge it. So if you don't fully charge it, you lose 50% damage. Very, you know, simple. And it locks you at 10% 10 movement speed, sorry, not 10%. Like that, you know, you walk like a fucking snail, but yeah, you hit like a truck. Prime and load, this skill, you know, the reason why I don't like doing long boss fights is because this skill goes on cooldown for a very long time. You can see 20 seconds only, right? But if you reset every single thing, it goes up to 1 minute or even higher. Like, for example, I'll just demonstrate once, okay? Covering fire, banner shot, hit shot, snipe, hit shot, volley, volley, and see that? it's like 1 minute or so, or even longer than that actually. Yeah, 1 minute, maybe 10 seconds or 5 seconds. However, if you just like reset Covering Fire and Penetration Shot, which are your main damage skills, and they only increase the cooldown by 5 seconds and in total 10 seconds. So in short, Prime and Load will only go on a 30-second cooldown, which makes it more valuable, you know. So that's like basically about it for like why this skill build, why this skill tree is the best compared to Wugushi, compared to Rogue. Let's say like the flaws of, okay, let's start from Sapper tree. Sapper tree, the only thing you get out of Sapper tree is that you get more skill factor ratio and that you get 50% crit chance on your Broom Trap. And Broom Trap isn't really a good skill either, you seldom or never really use it. And the fact that it's a magic circle, right, and it gets destroyed very easily is that, imagine if your Broom Trap takes for 1 second, which is like 291%, or maybe if you're lucky, if the boss is a fat fuck like Blood, you will hit maybe 3 or 4 times, so 291 times 4 or 5, wow, you may think like it's a lot, right? But if they do a skill that breaks your magic circle, or if like another Sapper decide to be a fucker and like destroy your Broom Trap, you basically only do that little amount of damage, and it goes on cooldown for 40 seconds. There's no way to reset it or anything other than a chrono. So there's no point in like, you know, taking Sapper tree. Sapper tree is very it's not that good, in my opinion at least. So regarding Sapper, that's about it. You only get higher skill factor ratio at 50% critical chance. Like, critical chance is very easy to achieve in this game because debuffs and everything will be applied on bosses. Like, it's very easy to get crit chance. Trust me when I say that. I know my critical hit rate is fucking low here. The reason is because you really get crit. Like, there's really a lot of elements in the game, right, that help you reduce the crit rate and, you know, see yellow lines a lot more often. So that's about it for Sapper, right? Now Wugushi, okay? Wugushi, why do I not recommend Wugu? Okay, I'm gonna swap over to my Wugushi real quick over here. 1 second. I think like okay. Okay, Wugushi. Look over here. Look at how long the cooldowns are for each skill. Now compare that to Falconer's one skill, which is just a single Phaesant, and it most definitely, or if not definitely, out damages everything here. And the second issue with Wugushi, okay? The 3 flaws that Wugushi have. First of all, it can't crit. Second, it sticks. It's overtime damage, it's progressive. And progressive damage doesn't really go well with Musketeer because glass molds are better for Musketeer in general. So what you want to do is make a build that does lots of burst damage instead of something that, you know, ticks over time. Wugushi isn't bad, Sapper isn't bad, but the issue is that, you know, they don't do as well as a burst build, like a full burst on build, like Falconer, this kind. And you can see like what, 25 seconds, 30 seconds, you know, 40 seconds. This is 35 seconds or so. So basically, you will definitely play around Crescendo Bane as a Wugushi tree. So the issue with this is that every 35 seconds is your damage uptime moment, and it goes down fairly fast in a sense because it speeds up the cycle. But it's not enough reason to justify you know, taking Wugushi tree over Phaesant, like why it's not the best. So okay, I'm just gonna show, right? The third reason why Wugushi is not a very good choice with Musketeer despite having synergy with strength, and I go full strength personally. Watch the skill animations, how long they take to, you know, throw everything out. You see how long that takes? It takes about 4 to 5 seconds just to throw everything out. In that 4 to 5 seconds, right, you can be using your Musketeer skills. So basically what this means is that Wugushi's skills are so low priority on the list, right? it does so little damage and it can't crit. Basically, you lose your crit bonus from both Serenity and critical shot, that, you know, you are better off not using the Wugushi skills at all. It's only good, right, when you really go on cooldown. So in a sense, Wugushi is more catered towards a long boss fight. But even in a long boss fight, right, a good musketeer with like decent control, like understanding over your build, right, will definitely win a overtime damage sticker like Wugushi. Like a burst build, no doubt, always beats a overtime damage build like this kind. The skill factor ratio is just too low for it to like shine in a sense. I know Zhen 2 max is not the best, but trust me, putting it into Latent Venom or Jin Changu, whatever the fuck this skill is, or Wugonggu even, right, even if I were to max those, it will never come close to beating a burst build. So there is that. Now back to the main one. Okay. Sorry, Rogue is very simple to explain. So I'll make this quick and then I'll just go into a dungeon and show like how fast you can kill stuff with Falconer. Sorry, I'll just show how fast you can kill stuff with Falconer's Phaesant. Like, you just wipe out the whole mobs, like all the mobs in an instant, okay? Even with like a low weapon like this. You can see here, no trance, just a basic Primus weapon. I bought this on the market for like 600k. And another thing that players worry about is like transcendence, you know. You don't have to worry about trance. Take your time with it. Eventually you will get there. I didn't get to transcend in like one day. It took me like 6 months, 7 months plus just to get there. I look OP because, you know, every day I put in the effort to freaking do these shitty dailies, which I'm super bored of now, which is why I'm not playing Tree of Savior as much. And yeah, so why do I take Appraiser over Rogue? I explained a bit about the skills just now, but Rogue is good in the sense that, you know, if you have another Appraiser to support you, then yes, Rogue would be a better option as an individual. But another reason why you don't really need Rogue also is because that 50% crit chance, honestly, is very bad. It only happens when you hit the boss from behind, or any mob in general from behind. So overall, like, you will crit forever, but what it does is that it makes you have a very bad playstyle of like wanting to move behind the boss or like run around in circles, which will hinder you, from like doing your usual setup. And what happens with Musketeer, right, is that this class is meant to be fast, it's meant to burst and to kill quick, right? So what happens when you try to do all these fancy moves and shit like that, right? You end up becoming a retard. Like, you don't do as much damage. In fact, you lose damage trying to reposition yourself here and there like a fucking monkey. So if you really want to play Rogue, right, play it like how Musketeer should be played. Don't move much, spam all your skills if possible, and respect the fact that you will only deal large amounts of like DPS, right, when the boss faces another target and its back is against you, which is like meaning to say that, you know, you need a tank on your team with high aggro to hold it. Honestly, that's about it. Now I'll just like display, you know, why Falconer is better and how easy it is to farm with Falconer in 330 dungeon. In other areas of the map it's also very easy, but you know, I'm freaking lazy to go there. Sure if 6.5k will one-shot the mobs here or not, but let's try. So what you do is you stack crit shot, charge Serenity, glass move before the duration finishes so that you don't get a physical attack damage buff bug. So okay, here, right? See that damage? That's how good it is. This is why Ranger is also a must-have option for PvE Musketeer. If you don't take Ranger, then honestly you are, you're doing 20% lesser damage than every other Musketeer is that takes Ranger, when they crit especially. And it's not, like I said, it's not easy, it's not hard, sorry, to crit like crazy. So what is the maximum DPS? So what is the max DPS I can do with Phaesant with my main weapon? Okay, 1 second. I might die here, but 1 sec. Wait, watch the damage. That's why Musketeer Falconer is the best. You wipe the mobs in an instant. You are fast, you're efficient. You don't have to spend your time throwing like Wugushi goop bot stuff like that. And another, okay, sorry, there was a fourth issue about Sapper and Wugushi being bad, like not as good as Falconer. The issue is that Broom Trap, right, and Wugushi skills, most of them, or if not all, only can hit land mobs, ground mobs. See this? These mobs are all flying types, okay? So let's say you go to a content that needs you to kill air mobs mainly. Your Wugushi is gonna suffer a lot, really badly. So I don't recommend you do something like that. That's why Falconer is better. Honestly, look at all these mobs. Do you think your Wugushi, that tiny AoE which I showed just now, is something you want to use against all these mobs? Or do you want to do this? And boom, they're dead! One skill, everything disappears in an instant. And you can go kill the rest of the fucking idiots. Like that. Fuck you, fuck you. So, the choice is kind of yours. I tried to keep this video as short as possible. I think, honestly, there's still a lot I can say about Musketeer, but, if you have any questions, anything you want to know about Musketeer before the rebuild happens, this is definitely the best build to take. So if you have any questions, just please, just leave a comment. I'll try to reply as soon as possible. Okay, thank you for watching.